Hey, my name's Breanna Jensen, and this is my video lesson plan for Ed 304. So I'm going to be teaching Bryce about chords. Um, that was one of the things on his list, is that he wanted to learn about chord progressions. But then I did a pre-assessment and realized that that was probably out of the zone of his proximal development. I really hope that Bryce will be a masterly learner with intrinsic motivation because he has a passion for the music and he wants to learn how to be a better musician. This will really help us throughout the lesson because if he has this motivation, it'll be a lot easier for him to learn because this is some hard material. Bryce is in the formal operational stage of Piaget's development stages. That's because he's over 11 years old. This lesson will use a lot of the cognitive domain of the Bloom's taxonomy because there will be some difficult concepts for him to grasp, and it's going to be a lot of mental work and a lot of things that he has to think through. This is also a very musically based lesson. I would say it mainly uses the musical intelligence when referring to Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. Bryce has probably developed a personal fable or a self-concept about being a professional musician or something like that after this lesson. Or maybe he already thinks that he's, the best musician in the world. But this stuff takes a lot of time to learn. It's not going to be fully in his brain after the few hours that we have together. In the time that we do have, I expect him to grasp the logic systems of the different concepts I'm going to teach. But I don't really expect him to completely understand everything. It's going to take some work outside of it if he actually wants to master the stuff I teach him. Some of the things that we will talk about are already assimilated into his brain. He already knows stuff like solfege and other things like that. He already has the schema for that. But other things will be harder because he doesn't have a schema for them yet. This will mean his brain will have to use accommodation, which will probably cause some disequilibrium. He's probably going to get a little bit frustrated, which is going to affect his affective domain. He will most likely get discouraged throughout the lesson when he doesn't understand something. And that's okay. My job as a teacher is to make sure that he feels as comfortable as possible, and that I plan on doing that by using information language instead of control language, because he needs to know that he's doing well, because this is hard stuff, and he's not going to get it right away. And if I'm using control language, it's going to send a bad message to him, and that will probably make him get even more discouraged, and that could turn into debilitating anxiety. The physical arrangement of the setting that we're going to use is going to be one of the practice rooms in the snow building. I really hope that we can get one of the big practice rooms because then that one has a piano, a whiteboard, and some chairs, and maybe a desk. And that will make it easier for us to learn. It's also not as cramped, which will give him some space, which means I won't be as close to him proximity-wise. I'm planning on giving Bryce some staff paper and also some regular notebook paper. That way he can take notes, because I believe that writing down and taking notes helps it stay into your brain better. I don't want the practice room or the physical climate to give him more anxiety, so I'm gonna have anytime we're using the piano, I'm gonna have my own separate chair, just so that we're not sitting on the same bench and I'm not super close to him, because I feel like that would probably give him some anxiety. I want to be energetic and passionate about what I'm teaching him, because I am very passionate about it, and I believe that being passionate is a contagious behavior, and that hopefully he will be excited about what we're learning as well. Throughout the lesson, I'm going to ask Bryce to go up to the board and write something, or maybe I'll ask him to play something on the piano. These are performance-oriented tasks that will act as a stimulus. Hopefully he will react well to this and not get stage fright or debilitating anxiety. I hoped that this will be facilitating for him, that he will be able to be a little bit anxious, but also to perform well. Throughout the lesson, part of the reason I want to have Bryce write things out on the board and or play stuff on the piano is because I don't want him to develop learned helplessness, and these tasks he has to do on his own, so I won't be there as a crutch using too much scaffolding. We will start by introducing ourselves and doing some sirens, which is just like it sounds like a siren of like a cop car or something. We'll be doing those with our voices to lower the anxiety level. I don't know what his trait anxiety level is, but I know that being in a new place with a complete stranger, and that's going to give him state anxiety. And also, being in the practice rooms, you sometimes feel like people are listening to you because you can hear people in the other rooms. But I think by doing sirens, this can kind of get that out of his system, and he won't be so nervous. The other people that he might think would be listening to him would be an imaginary audience. We're going to start out teaching-wise. I'll start with key signatures. On the pre-assessment, it looked like Bryce didn't really know what a key signature was, or maybe he just didn't know what the names were. I think that he probably knows it somewhere in his brain because he does play piano, and I've heard that he plays guitar as well. So he knows what they are. I think he just had a failure to retrieve on the pre-assessment. We're going to be using mnemonic devices so that doesn't happen again. So an example of that would be fat cats go down alleys eating birds. And that is just the order of sharps in a key signature. That's one of the mnemonic devices we'll be using. We'll also be using bead, greatest common factor, for the flats and other things like that can help him to remember the order of the sharps and flats in a key signature and not